What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. Assassins in League of Legends are some of the most exciting and complex champions that the game has to offer, that bring crazy playmaking and snowballing potential. But every assassin has its counterplay, and the meta assassins have become a little bit easier to play against due to their popularity. And when it comes to the surprise factor that an off-meta pick brings, there's no role more valuable to have that on other than an assassin. So the surprise factor really puts in a lot of work, and these picks can definitely work in a solo queue environment. And to help me with the list today, I've brought in none other than the ultimate assassin expert, my man Redmercy.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Redmercy and it's a pleasure to be on one of Jeremy's videos. Today we'll be discussing one of my favorite subjects, assassins. But more specifically, off-meta assassin champions, putting them in roles and situations where you won't normally see them, but they're still a lot of fun and quite effective. On my personal channel, I make plenty of educational videos and fun videos where I talk about current strong champions in the meta, assassins, and just trying to make you a better player. So if you're into that kind of stuff, make sure to check out my channel as well.
Alright, jumping straight into the list, first off we're taking a look at Shaco in a solo lane, either top or mid, but I enjoyed him the most in the mid lane. You can honestly play him as both AD or as AP, but I found that AD Shaco has maybe a little bit more options in the plays that you can make, since it gives you a lot of split pushing power. When playing him in a solo lane, you'll get a lot more farm and will be able to one-shot opponents without really being ahead at all, honestly. Shaco's Q gives him a guaranteed crit which procs Static Shiv, and comboed with his passive you can pop out an insane burst damage combo that comes from stealth, so it's really easy to catch people off guard, flank a carry, or just secure a gank. And if you can one-shot a target and live in a teamfight, you're going to be more useful than a lot of late game scaling champions, and you still have the option to be a really strong split pusher. With his stealth as well as the invulnerability his ultimate gives when you cast it, you have a lot of defensive and offensive options for playmaking potential. And his laning isn't that bad either, since his E gives you a lot of free harass, and you have some pretty amazing roams and can even go for some cheesy solo invades on the enemy jungler, bush camps, or just some hilarious plays. For my runes and masteries and item build, you can take a look at the screen right there for a quick start to dominating on Assassin Shaco. And I maxed E first and Q second, with a point in W at level 1 to take a jungle camp early on for a level 2 advantage in lane. Shaco's a really unique and honestly super fun champion to mess around with, and I expected him to be really difficult to play, but the amount of options that you have in his kit gives you such a crazy amount of outplay potential that he's really not all that bad.
So let's take a quick look at Nocturne in the mid lane. Normally you would be seeing this champion in the jungle, however putting him in the mid lane is surprisingly effective. His W is made to absorb abilities, and what do a lot of mid lane champions have? Spells that they cast on you. So not only can that be really strong in that kind of situation, but on top of that, Nocturne's Q combined with his passive gives him some very strong clear. So you can go in the middle of a wave, throw your Q, auto attack for the passive as well, and especially if you already have your Hydra, you'll be clearing that wave in a matter of seconds. And you also have his ultimate, which is made to gank other lanes, which is why usually you see him in the jungle. But luckily for us, mid laners are also very keen on trying to gank other lanes and put pressure around the map. So a very common thing to do is use your Q passive, clear the wave, and then start roaming top, mid, or somewhere in the jungle and look for a play with your ultimate. And with that being said, when you play him in the mid lane, you can instantly rush the Youmuu's and the Duskblade combo, not only giving you a ridiculous amount of raw damage, but you get 30 flat armor penetration, the Duskblade passive, and you will be essentially one-shotting the squishies. So whenever you're playing Nocturne, I highly recommend maxing your Q first, followed by the E and then the W. And as for the items, you probably want to go for the Youmuu's, the Duskblade, followed by the Hydra, and for boots, I like to go the CDR boots because it helps you get your ultimate off that much faster. His ultimate has a very long cooldown, especially at level 1, so getting the early CDR with the Youmuu's as well will help you be able to cast this much more frequently and put a lot more pressure around the map. Your runes can be armor penetration reds, flat armor yellows, or HP per level yellows, 10% scaling CDR in the blues with the res being magic resistance, and flat 80 quints. And your mastery page will be 12, 18, 0, definitely going for that Thunderlords. Next up, we have Master Yi in the mid lane. So here's another champion that you would expect normally to see in the jungle just because of how solid Devourer is on him. But even with that being said, Master Yi in the mid lane is also surprisingly strong. His Q is very strong when poking because you can use it on the ranged minions, and it will also go and hit the champion as long as they're relatively close to those minions. He also has a decently strong cheese at level 2 if you take Ignite, especially with your Q and your E ability. Get your passive ready, use the Q on the enemy champion, proc your E, double attack them with your passive, put the Ignite on them as well, and you'll either get the kill or at least burn one or both of their summoners. A very important aspect for most mid laners is just simply how well are you able to sustain yourself. And luckily for Master Yi, his W gives him a lot of HP regeneration, especially if you use it when you're very low on HP. So you're able to get some nice harass, wave clear, have good sustain as well. But rushing the core items, for instance Youmuu's Blade of the Ruined King, maybe something like Death's Dance, Steric's Gauge will put you as a big threat against the enemy team. Not only are you going to have a lot of attack speed, you're going to have a lot of damage, but you're also going to be very tanky thanks to the Steric's Gauge. All in all, this is actually a lot of fun to play and one of my personal favorites because using his Q in the lane to harass is so annoying for the enemy person to face, but as the Master Yi player, it feels amazing. So if you want to have some fun, if you play mid lane and you somewhat enjoy playing Master Yi, this is easily one of my higher recommended picks. Your mastery page can be 18012, looking for the Warlord's Bloodlust for the extra lifesteal when the Steric's Gauge procs. This will help a lot. For the runes, you can run flat AD reds, armor, or HP per level yellows, some CDR in the blues with MR as well, and then probably get some attack speed quints. Something along the lines of that should make you quite successful.
Next up, we're looking at Vi in a solo lane, either top or mid, but I personally found the most success with her in the mid lane, since you want to lane against someone kind of squishy, I guess. Her E has a 115% flat attack damage scaling, and the one-shot potential she actually has is really insane as long as you aren't missing your Q. And later, once you get your ultimate, you can engage without ever using your Q to ensure that you definitely aren't going to miss it. Assassin Vi was really interesting to me because Vi as a laner has a lot of versatility with her item build. I mean, you could go full damage, super hardcore assassin build to do crazy burst, or something a little bit more bruiser-esque, or even if I wanted to, I could go full tank after just one damage item, and that versatility is awesome because it allows you to fit nicely into a lot of team compositions. Her passive gives her pretty nice trading with her E, and she has all-in potential at pretty much any time with her Q. And her full burst combo really packs a punch, if you know what I'm saying. For my runes masteries and item build, you could take a look at the screen right there for a quick start to dominating on Assassin Vi. Now, I expected Vi to actually really struggle in lane, but by maxing E, you get a lot of really awesome poke by using your E on a minion when the enemy laner is in position to get hit by the splash damage. And since she's typically a jungler, her ganks are honestly just fantastic, so even if you fall behind in lane, you can always catch up through roaming or even get a lead.
Next up is going to be one of my personal favorite assassins, Talon. Now usually you see this champion being played in the mid lane to pretty great success, but we're going to be switching it up and throwing him in the jungle instead. Talon in the jungle isn't as bad as it sounds because not only do you have decent clear with your W followed by your Q giving you nice AoE type damage and single target damage, but in my opinion a fairly important aspect of a good jungle champion is being able to have good early pressure, or in other words having a kit or abilities that help you gank a lane. So Talon's E ability is pretty much made for this. You can jump on a target, you slow them quite a bit, you have your W for the extra slow as well. When you get your ultimate, it just adds to the overall burst that you're doing. But something else that makes this surprisingly good is the fact that when you upgrade your smite, usually you want to get chilling smite because it adds the slow. And the slow you're applying is going to be synergizing with your passive, giving you bonus damage for the duration of the slow. All in all, this is actually a lot of fun, it works surprisingly well, and I highly recommend trying this out, especially if you like Talon and or like to play jungle. So for items, you want to get the Chilling Smite with the Warrior Enchantment, and following that you want to go a fairly standard build path with the Youmuu's, the Hydra, and then something like a Black Cleaver, maybe even Death's Dance, Steric's Gauge, or something like Duskblade of Drakthar. The runes are also fairly standard, flat AD quins, armor penetration reds, flat armor yellows, and then you want to put a little bit of CDR in the blues and then get a bit of MR as well. The mastery page can be 0, 18, 12 to help you a little bit with the defensive stats from the resolve tree, but you still want that Thunderlord so that when you go gank a lane, when you use your full combo, you will still be bursting people down.
Alright, sweet. The next champion is Lee Sin in a solo lane, either top or mid. Now this one's interesting to me because I gotta be honest when I say that I am not the best mechanical player. So to me, playing Lee Sin, a mechanically complex champion, was pretty intimidating at first. But after I tried him out, I realized that Lee Sin in a lane doesn't actually take that much mechanics at all other than ward hopping. While Lee Sin does have a ridiculous skill ceiling, his skill floor was a little bit easier than I expected to work with, and I had a lot of success with him. His mobility options are super fun to play with, and his damage scaling is really strong, so the assassination power is super underestimated in lane versus a squishy opponent. For my runes, masteries, and item builds, you can take a look at the screen right there for a quick start to dominating on Assassin Lee Sin. And as for the skill order, I maxed Q first and E second with the first point in W at level 2 for early trading. Lee Sin's ultimate has a 200% bonus AD scaling and crazy flat base damage. So when you're in a solo lane, that extra farm you're getting to will really be put to great use, and since he's super mobile, he'll snowball really hard, and control the map really well with his wave clear to push a lane, and strong ganking ability. And if you enjoy playing champions that have a high skill ceiling, you're going to have a lot of fun on Lee Sin for sure.
And then we have Riven Jungle. This one I found a lot more fun than I initially thought it would be, mainly because I just think Riven is a fun champion. So usually you see this girl in the top lane absolutely demolishing face, but throwing her in the jungle does not hinder her whatsoever. In fact, she still feels quite nice. Not only does her Q allow her to have really good jungle clear combined with her W to animation cancel her abilities and cancel the attack animation of the jungle monsters. Her E ability will help her absorb some damage. She has mobility to go over walls with the third part of her Q. Her ganking potential isn't anything to laugh at because of the sheer amount of mobility that is offered within her kit. And most of all, I found it really fun to constantly keep practicing the different types of combos and animation cancels you can do on Riven while attacking the jungle monsters. She still scales quite decently, you're able to get early CDR very easily as well, and I have to say that this was a lot of fun to play. So when it comes to the items, I personally still really like getting the blue chilling smite. You want to get the Caulfield's Warhammer very soon as well for the 10% CDR. Add in some of the Lucidity boots as well for 10% more in CDR, and then you also want to get a Black Cleaver as your second or third item. So it can look something like this. You have the Blue Warrior Enchantment Smite, you have the Black Cleaver, and you also have the Hydra. To me, those are without question the core items, and after that you can get whatever feels good based on the certain situation that you're in, based on what you're facing, what your team has. So that can range from things like a Steric's Gauge or a Bloodthirster. The runes you can run on Riven when playing her in the jungle is going for the flat armor penetration reds, flat AD quints, flat armor yellows, and then MR per level or flat MR blues. For the mastery page, I have to say I wasn't 100% sure on which one was the best. So you can either go 0, 18, 12 for the Thunderlords, or you can go 0, 12, 18 for the extra HP from the Strength of Ages.
And that wraps up the list. Big thanks to Redmercy for helping me with the video today because it definitely wouldn't have been possible without him. He does a lot of similar videos to this one on his channel, so if you enjoyed the video, definitely check him out, link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.